The most important thing to cherish in your career is your connections with people. Without valuing those relationships, nothing will go right. Make sure you remember this. These were the words my late dad often repeated to me. 5 years ago, my dad passed away from an illness. As a kid, I found my strict dad difficult to deal with and always took shelter behind my mom. But as I grew up, I began to understand, vaguely, why he had been so strict with me. I think I never really opened up to my dad until I started working as an adult. However, after I graduated from college and began working at a company, we started to talk more. Occasionally, we'd share a drink, and on those nights, I could kind of feel a father-son bond. But he's gone now. He suffered a heart attack suddenly while at work and passed away. My name is George. I'm an employee working in the sales department. I'm not the type to stand out at work. There were many peers more capable than me, and I believe there were even subordinates with more potential. The job itself was rewarding, and I was paid decently, so I had no complaints. I also have a girlfriend, Erica, whom I'm thinking of marrying. Erica and I have been together for 2 years, and I'm considering proposing on our next anniversary. Despite the generally fulfilling days, there was just one thing that troubled me. I was persistently pursued by the company CEO's daughter. Her name is Michelle. She's 3 years my senior and works in the company's PR department. Originally, she was sent to a group company for training but returned to our company 3 years ago. For some reason, Michelle took a liking to me, and, despite knowing I have a girlfriend, she kept insisting on a relationship. You know, I've got more to offer than your current girlfriend. If you were with me, you could even become the CEO. She would leverage her position as the CEO's daughter to press her advantage. Of course, I wasn't swayed by her advances. I couldn't come up with clever retorts or handle it jokingly, so I just responded with indifferent "Oh, is that so?" whenever she brought it up. Somehow, that seemed to fan the flames even more in her. I never liked Michelle to begin with. She's the type to flirt with men but turns cold and strict with other women. Even when she's at the office, she doesn't work. I'm the CEO's daughter, so it wouldn't be good for me to handle this. She'd say, spouting things that made no sense, just to dump her work on other employees. The CEO was ridiculously lenient with her. Even when Michelle did whatever she wanted at the company, he just turned a blind eye. "Michelle, could you please find someone else to bother?" That's what I found myself wishing for. Time passed, and then something happened. That morning, as soon as I arrived at work, someone from HR approached me and told me to go to the CEO's office. And there, I was told by the CEO himself that I was being demoted. The reason? Alleged harassment to Michelle. Of course, that wasn't true. If anything, I was the one who had been subjected to borderline abusive behavior. No, I haven't done anything to inconvenience Michelle in any way, I told the CEO confidently. "What's that? Are you saying my daughter is lying?" he asked. Yes, that's right. The words were on the tip of my tongue, but saying them seemed pointless as I doubted the CEO would believe me. If anything, I'd probably just be labeled a liar. The CEO had been told by Michelle that I was relentlessly pursuing her, a baseless accusation. And I figured she must have been the one to suggest my demotion. I had an inkling why Michelle might have fabricated such a lie. Probably because I had clearly rejected her. She had been insistently asking me out to dinner a few days before. No matter how many times I said no, she wouldn't listen, so I had to be clear that I had no intention of dating her. "I have no interest in dating you. I have a girlfriend whom I'm planning to marry. I love her more than anyone else, and I will never leave her for you. I'm sorry, but you have to let go," I had told her. Michelle looked unsatisfied, but I immediately left the scene. She must have been angry about that. I never imagined she would seek revenge in this manner. I haven't done anything to come onto Michelle. I insisted to the CEO once more, but he was not willing to listen. And just like that, I was unceremoniously sent off to a branch office in the countryside. Man, it's really a shame you got targeted by someone like her. Seems like tough luck is the only phrase that comes to mind, huh? Colleagues who knew the situation were all saying the same thing. They all sympathized, but nobody could help. I mean, who would want to cross the CEO's daughter? When I told Erica about the demotion, she looked sad. You'll make it back here eventually. Just think of it as a change of scenery. You know what they say, after the worst happens, something great is waiting around the corner. This must be a sign of better things to come. As always, she lifted my spirits with her positive outlook. And so, we began a long-distance relationship. Nice to meet you. I've been transferred from the head office. My name is George. I look forward to working with you starting today. Sure, nice to meet you too. Even as I introduced myself, employees at the branch seemed uninterested. In fact, some even mocked me, saying I must have been sidelined because I was no good to use. At the branch, I was assigned to simple inventory management instead of sales. Honestly, I felt no sense of fulfillment. My days were just spent counting stock. When I finished work early and asked my boss if there was anything else I could help with, I was curtly told there wasn't anything and just left to sit around. I had pretty much become a corporate NEET. I lost a title, and the allowances I once had were gone. I stopped pondering too deeply about this so-called demotion. That was my daily routine until one day. A phone call came through for me. It was from a client of our company, one I had been in charge of when I was in the sales department at the head office. Now, another salesperson at the head office was handling them. John, the client's representative, was surprised to find out that I was no longer in charge and called me. George, we were doing business with your company because you were handling our account. Our CEO was quite shocked when the person in charge suddenly changed. John told me that. Why were you taken off the account? Did I do something to upset you? John asked, sounding concerned. No, that's 100% not the case. I responded immediately and whispered to John. Actually, I've been transferred to a branch in Maine. You could call it a demotion. I said with a wry smile. What, you, George? John was surprised. I almost blurted out something about Michelle, but managed to hold back. I'm really sorry for any inconvenience I've caused. I apologized to John and ended the call for the day. Then, about a week later, something happened that would greatly change my life. I had come home early that day and was having a drink at home. Then my work cell phone rang. Ah, it's President Smith. I had been speaking with the company representative, John, on the phone the other day. Nervously, I answered the call. Hello, long time no see. I've been out of touch, and I apologize for not having been able to properly say goodbye after the transfer, having heard from John recently. No, I'm the one who should apologize for calling you out of the blue. I just really wanted to talk to you, George. President Smith had just turned 40, a young executive. We had happened to meet at a bar once and shared a drink. He's a man with a calm demeanor and an approachable personality. According to John, the CEO had gone through quite a struggle, and I secretly admired President Smith for that. But hey, it's been a while. After some small talk, President Smith hesitantly asked if there was a reason for my transfer to the branch. Feeling I could confide in him, I honestly told him about the situation with Michelle. To which President Smith muttered in surprise. What? That's unbelievable. He seemed truly astounded. Then President Smith fell silent for a moment before making a shocking offer. If you're not opposed to the idea, George, would you consider joining our company? I intend to offer you better terms than you currently have. What? His company wasn't a major player, but they were pretty proactive in the IT sector and quite promising. Honestly, I'd rather work for President Smith's company than stay at my current job. That's what I thought. But I hesitated. But am I really up to it? I can't say I'm all that great at my job, I answered without much confidence. What are you talking about? I reached out to you precisely because it's you, George. In fact, I've been hoping for a while that you would join our team. President Smith told me. We've been dealing with his company for over 5 years now, and I was in charge from the beginning. Back then, as a greenhorn, it was the first account I was entrusted with, and it has a special place in my heart. Actually, President Smith's company faced the brink of bankruptcy once, 2 years ago. There's no benefit for us to keep doing business with that company. Let's cut the contract. That's what the CEO said at that time. He didn't even go through me, his point man, and went ahead to discuss the termination of the business deal with President Smith. And I heard he was pretty brusque about it. But I didn't want to stop the dealings. I believed they would bounce back, and more importantly, I valued our relationship. I kept on explaining the benefits of continuing our business with them to my CEO. All right, you've made your point. You should make sure it won't be a setback for us. It seems the CEO caved in and allowed the contract to continue. I'm truly grateful. If you had terminated the contract, our company would have gone under. Thank you, really, thank you so much. President Smith had said back then, with tears in his eyes. Seeing him like that, I remember feeling a warm sensation in my chest. After finishing the story, President Smith said, "We need someone like you, someone kind. It's not just about securing contracts. Business isn't about that. It's about the connection between people. George, you've perfectly mastered that. Please consider joining us." He made me an offer. That day, I said I would get back to him later and ended the call. But my mind was already made up. I immediately called Erica and shared with her what President Smith said and how I felt. If that's what you've decided, George, I'm behind you, and it's really nice to hear that another company's CEO understands you so well. Erica said that to me. Encouraged by Erica's support, I made up my mind to quit my current job and move on. A few days later, there I was, handing in my resignation letter to my boss. I see. This place wasn't a good fit for you. Well, okay then, I'll let HR know, he said in his usual disinterested tone. I had also informed President Smith about my resignation and how long I would be staying at the company. After finishing up my work at the branch, I headed to the head office to complete my departure procedures. Today was my last day at work. The colleagues at the head office, seeing me after a long time, looked at me with pity, but I felt a sense of liberation inside. I noticed that there were less employees there. Turns out, a few people had resigned due to the oppressive behavior of the CEO's daughter, Michelle. I could relate to how they felt. I was picking up my stuff together from the head office, ready to head over to HR. That's when it happened. "Hello." I turned around to the voice and there was President Smith. "Oh, Mr. Smith." It seemed he had come to talk about a business deal. And then, from behind, our CEO appeared as well. Apparently, there was a meeting between the two CEOs scheduled for today. Awkward. I was about to excuse myself. "Please join us, George. This is a direct order from me," President Smith said with a smile. At the word order, our CEO looked a bit surprised. It seemed he was yet unaware that I was moving to President Smith's company. And so, the three of us were to have a discussion in the conference room. "Thank you for transferring such a talented employee to our company," President Smith began with a bit of an edge to his words. Our CEO snorted through his nose, seemingly catching on to the situation. "So that's what this was about," he replied, his face twitching. Then the CEO spoke up. Is that the kind of employee you're okay with? A despicable man who would hit on my daughter. He glared at me sideways as he spoke. Is that really true? To me, George doesn't seem like the kind of person who would do such a thing. President Smith responded it confidently. Then, President Smith made a surprising statement. Since George has joined our company, I regret to say that we no longer have a reason to conduct business with your company. Therefore, we would like to terminate the contract by the end of this month, he said. The CEO looked shocked at these words. Is that so? Understood. So we're talking about the end of this month, he said, with a look of frustration. And so, our deal was off, and soon after, I switched over to President Smith's company. Subsequently, the company I used to work for fell into a dire situation. Word got out in the industry that our company had broken off the deal, and one by one, other partners began to cancel their contracts. It seemed that President Smith, with his extensive network, had been talking to our competitors about the true state of my old company, which had an impact. The employees, realizing the crisis, started to leave in droves, and the company's reputation plummeted, so much so that hardly anyone wanted to join anymore. The company spiraled down daily, and now it was on the brink of bankruptcy. By the way, Michelle, notorious for her ruthless marriage hunting, ended up having her actions recorded, and it seems she's being questioned by the ethics committee. Talk about reaping what you sow. As for me, I'm diligently working at the new company every day. The job is rewarding, and every day I feel vibrant and alive. I took the chance of changing jobs to propose to Erica. I'll do my best to be a great wife, Erica said, accepting my feelings. We just started living together in an apartment last month. I plan to continue valuing my relationships with others and live towards a bright future.